Okay, it is time for a rack update. Yeah, this is something that's been a long time coming. It's just, I haven't really had the time to get started on it, and we still have a whole bunch of moving materials. That's all those boxes that we still have to get rid of, so a lot of this area has been kind of blocked off in the basement. And I apologize for the background noise. I've got both the washer and the dryer running behind me. So here is sort of where we stand and where we're going. So one of the biggest changes is this disc shelf down here, the D2600, has been mothballed effectively. So it was connected to the DL380G9, but we had a couple power outages, and my UPSs up here just couldn't handle it. Basically, they just had a really hard time when it would switch over, because that thing idles at like 300 plus watts. It was just too much, basically. Well, 250 or 300 watts. It was too much power. And I realized a couple things. One, the way I had it configured, it was 12 2TB drives in a RAID 5 with one hot spare. So, let's see, that was like 20 terabytes or so. And that was just more storage than I needed. So what I did, I've had this PowerEdge T410 sitting here for a while, not doing anything. And I said, instead of having a separate disk shelf that pulls as much power as a server, how about I just pull 8 of those drives and, put them in the T420. And so that's what I did. And so that's what that is. And so that's also a RAID 5, and I think it's 14 terabytes. I don't have a hot spare, but I don't really need a hot spare because, one, it's in the basement, it's not hard to get to it. And, two, we've got 4 more 2TB drives still in this thing, so no worries. And this is running ESXi 7, and I've got it set up actually where the RAID controller is passed through, I think it's a PERC 710 or 700, something like that. I've got it passed through to a Windows VM, so that's the file server. And so that's media, backups, disk images, whatever. And then so that's pretty much done. That's pretty much how I want it. I do need to make a few little tweaks to it, mostly adding some additional local storage. So that'll happen whenever. And then this guy, the DL380G9, this had been running Hyper-V. The PowerEdge hadn't been running anything, it was just idle. This has been running Hyper-V on Server 2019 data center, and that's been serving me well. I've learned a lot, but I kind of want to go back to ESXi. So I'm in the process now of migrating VMs, the handful of VMs that it had that I wanted to keep, onto this guy. I'm actually doing the last one right now. This is just Plex. I'm dumping out the old Plex library, and then or the configuration, and I'm going to pull it onto the new server. And then once that's done, we'll shut it down. We'll cut it over to ESXi. That's what this guy is. This is the HP build of ESXi 67U3. So it's ready to rock and roll. And then I've got, in one of the internal USB 3 ports, I've got a 32 gig flash drive. I could have used a micro SD card, but I have more flash drives that I'm willing to give up than micro SD cards. Those are in kind of shorter supply for some reason, but I've got a zillion big fast flash drives. So that's gonna happen. Underneath the Fusion IO card there with the blinky lights is the RAID controller. I think it's a P410, something down there. And it's obviously not needed anymore because the disk shelf isn't configured. It's not connected, so I don't need whoops, wake up. So I don't need an external RAID controller. So that card's gonna come out. The Fusion IO card's gonna move to the bottom. And then at the top, I'm gonna put This is an Intel U.2 drive, which is, you know, basically NVMe in a 2.5-inch form factor on a PCIe carrier. I'm going to pop this guy into the top slot, and so that'll be 2 terabytes of real fast storage. And then also, this has 8 480 gig SAS SSDs configured in a RAID 5. I want to say it's like 4.5 terabytes-ish. So not a ton of data storage, but the storage that is here is super fast. So, getting back to power. So the UPS is here, and right now it's got a real light load on it, just 70 watts. And it says that's 8%. I don't know what that's supposed to be 8% of, but it's got a runtime of, it says, 70 minutes. How many watts? 70 watts, 70 minutes, go figure. So right now that's carrying the network gear, basically. So the switch up on the top there, the modem, the router, the Mocha device, this guy, the Mocha device. So Mocha device, there's the router, the modem's just kind of dangling at the moment. And the switch up there. And this, my Cisco C170, I'll get to him. But that's it. So I really have needed this server to also be on uninterruptible power. I haven't decided on this one. I'm not sure yet. It would be really nice with all these drives to keep it up and going, but we'll have to see how things pan out. So that guy is a new UPS. That's a Morrison brand. That's a 2000 volt amp. It's a bit heftier than this guy back here. And it is going to sit right here in a moment. And it's going to only have this guy hanging off of it. So, and then we have the TL380G8 Core Ace. It will also be coming up soon once we can figure out some point-to-point VPN stuff. Likewise, the Z420 and that tape library, they're going to get joined up for some tape library backup shenanigans eventually. I've got the SCSI card in it. I just have to figure out what OS I want to put on there and get all that rolling. Right now the priority is get everything off of this box, make sure it's up and running properly on this box, and then you know, reconfigure this with the SXI. So then up here, we have the 2 Xserves. We have the 1.1 and the 2.1, the Intel Xserves. I've done a lot of reconfiguring on the 2.1, and it's given me weird issues. So the recent reconfiguring I've done is I got a few of these 200 gigabyte HGST SSDs, and I was planning on running 3 of them in a RAID 0. But they need this wacky carrier. They don't work unless they're in this wacky carrier. I don't know what exactly that's doing, but if I connect them straight in, they don't work. So it's some weird SAS thing. But so I have 2 of them in there in a RAID 1, and then I have a 3 terabyte spinner, and it's running Snow Leopard server, and it works. I just had it upstairs running fine, but it's being really wiggy about booting. So it's got power, you can see it's got a link light, but if I go to power it, it just flashes the power LED, and it revs the fans, and then it turns off. So I don't know. So then the C170, this is like my catch-all Linux box that I want to be a dedicated box. So this is running things like, you know, shell server for SSHing in from outside. It's running a whole lot of things, you know, small things on Dockers. It's running my reverse proxy. A whole lot of little odds and ends, like monitoring utilities. A whole lot of that kind of stuff is running on here. And then we have one ultra small form factor, 7010, running as a time server. And then this one was my domain controller. I've scrapped that. It's also a time server. So the point is that these are identically configured 7010s, and the GPS for the top one is right here. I just need to pop it up there. There's one hanging there already. So the idea is identical 7010s with identical GPSs, with pretty much identical configurations. I'm not sure if I want to do some comparisons, or I'm not sure yet, but basically the idea here is just for some experimenting against each other. So yeah, it looks like my Plex backup is finished, so I need to export it and pull it in, and then I'll go ahead and put the UPS up there, and then I will finish with the transition of this guy over to ESXi, and then I'll pick up recording again somewhere in that process. Okay, time for a quick mid-process update. So the transition, all the VMs have successfully come off of the G9 and are running on the T420. Pulled out the card cage, pulled out the RAID controller, the external RAID controller, and then moved the cards around in here. The reason I'm putting the Fusion IO at the bottom and the U.2 card at the top is because the Fusion IO card runs a good bit warmer, and so there'll be more airflow over that, as well as through this bracket to exhaust, whereas the U.2 card really doesn't get all that warm. Let's see, I also put the Marson UPS in place, got this second time server fired up. The G9's power is currently hanging off of the Marson UPS. I also pulled out a hard drive that I forgot to mention earlier. It's just a 6 terabyte Seagate external that I was using for some, just a sneaker net, some data. So it doesn't really need to be down here anymore. So yeah, next is just pop this card cage back in the server, put the lid on, get the laptop back up here, get into lights out management, and start installing ESXi. And then once that's done, I can do everything else I need to do from upstairs. Honestly, I could, excuse me, do the installation from upstairs, but I want to pull out the flash drive when it's all done, so, yep. Okay, well, ESXi is installing, cruising right along. And the astute among you may notice the little red mark there and there. Those are critical warnings. We also got a critical blinky blink there. That's because I had popped some of these and I was blowing some dust bunnies that were out under there. And if you lift up on these levers just a little bit, you unseat the drives. And if you unseat one in a RAID 5, it's no big deal. But if you unseat two, so on the bright side, there's no data on here that matters. I'll just need to boot into the RAID configuration utility, and I don't know if I'll have to nuke it and rebuild it, or if I can just say, hey, don't worry about it, because this is going to get formatted when it gets turned into a data store anyway. So, if only there were some technology that would prevent unqualified individuals from doing things like this. If only there was some technology. Oh well, we're just not there yet. Come on, you can do it. Once this finishes, I'll have to go back into the BIOS and change the default boot utility to be that internal flash drive, but that's easy. Okay, well, I'm done for now, at least as far as this pertains to poking around the servers down here. I've got it scooted back into place and have everything configured in a way that I'm pretty happy with. Pulled out a whole bunch of extra power cables from, you know, like when the other Xserve was configured and when the shelf was up and running, and some other odds and ends has just been pulled out. And it was interesting, when it was posting, it said, hey, we see that RAID 5 failed, but then it recovered. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. But we still got a blinky red light. So I would like to fix that. Because I want to know when there's an actual problem. But, yeah, I got the cable modem back where it's supposed to be. Man, the camera does a horrible job picking that up. It makes it look like it's about to go, you know, super critical. I like to have this freestanding though, because it gets quite hot. Past versions of this had wall mount holes, but this one doesn't, so it just sits free. One thing I'll often do is I'll have it turned so that I can see it when I come down the stairs and immediately know if the cable's out. I'd like to put it on, you know, somehow affix it like up here or up here or something so I can know right away if there's a problem. Otherwise, you know, it is what it is. It's humming. Yep, it's just humming. I forgot about the Pi 4, the fourth or third NTP server that's GPS disciplined. It needs some work too. It needs a little bit of fiddling. And then, yeah, of course, all the Ethernet cables are a hot mess. But yep, this is good for right now. We got ESXi on this bad boy. So a couple of VMs need to migrate from here to here. Of course, I don't have a VCR license, so no vMotion. I'm just going to do it, you know, the old-fashioned way. But yeah, that's it for now.